I'm not really someone who has played the Pokemon games. I've spent time with a few, of course, but I've never actually completed any of them, bar one. Stories left unfinished and Pokedexes left mostly empty. The thing is, I do like Pokemon. It's the biggest franchise in the world, and with over 1,000 silly little guys, how could you not enjoy it at least a little bit? But I never grew up watching the anime. I didn't have any Pokemon games on my Game Boy. It wasn't actually until the later years of the Nintendo DS when I tried Soul Silver and Black and White for the first time. Since then, I tried to get into a good few Pokemon games, but they never quite stuck for me. I don't think the repetitive gameplay loop was ever quite my thing, and I don't usually love random encounters over and over, especially when you can't see the thing that you're about to encounter. I know that's kind of what makes it random, but you know. It's not that I don't like JRPGs or think they're bad. I love Dragon Quest and Persona. It's just, for some reason, the mainline Pokemon games never quite clicked with me. I like the side games like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon and even Pokemon Quest, and Pokemon Pokopia looks super interesting to me, though that may just be the void that waiting for Dragon Quest Builders 3 has left me with. The only mainline game I actually finished was Pokemon Shield, and even so, I had to force myself to steamroll through the remainder of the game with a beefed up Lucario who basically just one-punched every single gym all the way to the credits. I tried Legends Arceus, but the graphics just felt too lifeless to draw me into the exploration, and with all of the talk of rough performance around Scarlet and Violet, I just never really bothered to jump into those. I reached a point where I just kind of accepted that maybe I just wouldn't be playing any of the mainline Pokemon games, and, you know, that's fine. And when I say mainline, I mean Legends as well, which might not be mainline, but, you know. So I basically knew nothing about Pokemon Legends ZA. I knew that it took place in Lumiose City. Lumiose? Lumio? Lumois? Right. Lumiose City, the Paris-based location which I recognized from Pokemon X and Y, but that was it. I thought it was a cool idea to be all in one place rather than a whole world with routes and fields and stuff. I do like open world games, and I'd love to see Pokemon games go even further into creating some truly captivating worlds, but there's something so special about a single city being the setting for an entire game. Not enough games do it, like the standout titles being Cyberpunk 2077 and GTA, or older Assassin's Creed games and Saints Row. Yes, I did just directly compare Pokemon to Saints Row in the year of 2025, but otherwise to me it was just another Pokemon game. Well, the day before it launched I decided to buy it and give it a go. Why? Tepig. Tepig was my boy back in Pokemon Black, and I wanted to adventure with him once again. Also Bulbasaur's in this game, certified best boy, but I'm still trying to get him. So, here is my experience as a non-Pokemon fan with Pokemon Legends ZA. So it started with a cinematic of people in Lumiose City, and then a big old Eiffel Tower thing started glowing and doing something weird. So this old guy's immediate response was to find a child who could master Mega Evolution. Why? It's a mystery to me. I then created my character. It was pretty easy to make look like myself. I mean, as a generic white guy, all I had to really do was set my hair color to brown and my eye color to green, and suddenly it was like they put me in the game. I arrived by train, and this lady began looking for a lost tourist, and luckily for her, I fit the description. Hello. We watched this video of an old lady talking about Pokemon being mysterious and wholly magnificent creatures before she pulled out this goat. Then a panda stole my bag, and we went to get it back, and ended up in a back alley brawl, and so my violent journey with Tepig could begin. Then some curfew began, which is basically Lumiose City's version of the Purge, where these zones, which we were conveniently standing in, suddenly become a free-for-all. I had a quick battle, and then this group was preventing us from leaving, so this little guy showed up and set off a nuke beam into the sky, which caused the group to run away in terror, which, honestly, yeah, fair enough. Then we went back to the hotel where I would be staying, and this goopy little dude hopped out of my bag in a not-so-subtle way, and I went off to bed. Well, I was interrupted and then shown the hotel rooftop, but then I went off to bed. The next morning, I was abruptly indoctrinated into some Pokemon tournament thing before setting off into the day to battle some more, catch some more Pokemon, and explore the city. Honestly, the exploration in this game, taking you across the rooftops of not Paris, makes me feel like it's 2014 and I'm playing Assassin's Creed Unity all over again, and I'm here for it. Now, I want to take this moment to talk about the battle system in Pokemon Legends ZA and why I absolutely love it. Bearing in mind, I didn't know anything about this game before playing it, so you probably already know all of this, but hear me out. While Pokemon Legends Arceus took more of a dynamic and real-time approach to Pokemon battles, it was still turn-based commands. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, also turn-based, much in the traditional way. In Legends ZA, however, it's all real-time. You run around the world and dynamically encounter Pokemon, and when in battle, you still run around freely as a trainer. Get too close to the action or don't have a Pokemon out and you'll be susceptible to incoming damage yourself. To fight, you can target the Pokemon with a lock-on target and then you just dish out commands for which moves your Pokemon should use. Moves have a cooldown on them, but you can attack at any time and so can your opponent, so there's not really a safe moment to stop and think. Positioning yourself will play into your strategies and you can swap out your Pokemon quickly and easily using the D-pad controls. To me, this combat feels so much more engaging and exciting. I understand that there'll be fans of the traditional turn-based systems that miss that, but it finally feels like we actually get to watch these Pokemon battle it out right in front of us, rather than just using moves and some little animations to indicate them. It feels reminiscent of how they changed the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle system, and once again, while many people were upset, I'm a big fan of that more real-time, action-oriented command system when it comes to battling. To see it here in Pokemon, this was enough to immediately draw me in much more than I was expecting. Following this day of more introductions and more tutorials, it was then time to head out into the night, ready to take on the Purge Zone once again in order to prepare myself for tournament battles. I spent some time lurking in the back alleys, sneaking up on people and viciously attacking their pets. This is for children? After doing this for a bit, I was set to take part in my first promotion battle, which was against this random taxi driver on this random street, attacking pets and now abusing public service workers. We're really making a name for ourselves here. With this victory, I ranked up from rank Z to rank Y, and yes, you guessed it, the goal is to work your way all the way up to rank A. Hopefully I don't have to keep engaging in such shameful tactics to keep ranking up the further I go, but that has yet to be seen. As a celebration, my good friends here made a meal, so we all sat down to enjoy some croissant curry. Okay, I'm pretty open to trying foods, but I don't believe there's a world where croissants should be paired with any sort of curry. I'm going to bed. The next day was a big one. This lady asked me to jump off this building. It's a pretty wild request for someone who just got to this city and is trying to make sense of everything, so I did it, of course. I'm pretty experienced with jumping off buildings at this point. We went around the town on another day of odd jobs and exploring before stopping off at this cute little cafe for a coffee. Delicious. Then as we went on, there was a crowd forming. This group here was yelling about hashtag free Pokemon or something, basically saying that the wild Pokemon in the city should be allowed to roam free. They did acknowledge that it would be dangerous, but their answer to that was basically to train every citizen, from children to grandmothers, in how to fist fight the Pokemon. Going for a walk in the park? Be ready to just bat that fletchling away. I don't think sweet old Moira here is going to be squaring up to a Machamp anytime soon. Speaking of Moira, I did my first few side quests in the game, including recovering her lost ring from the nearby cemetery, which has been overrun with wild Pokemon. I also kidnapped a Pikachu for this lady and duked it out with an alpha bunny for this guy. Just your usual sort of city boy errands, you know? After I was done with these quests, I spent entirely too long just walking around this little plaza here to go into all of the clothes shops and look at the clothes that I could not afford. But this was the best part of my entire experience. Then Emma showed me Mega Evolutions for the first time. I know of this term from the internet and some previous games, but my understanding of it is basically it's a Pokemon going Super Saiyan, I think. I mean, I haven't watched Dragon Ball either, so. After this, my time with the game has become pretty standard fare, as I continue to explore the city, take on side quests, catch new Pokemon, fight other trainers in the battle zones, and begin to slowly work my way up the ranks of the ZA Royale. And also finding all the collections of boutiques, because I need infinitely more clothes. Being a few hours into the game now, I am pleased with how much it's drawn me in. I mean, the graphics still don't reflect the power of the Switch 2, nor the budget of the biggest franchise in the world. I mean, every building you can't interact with is basically just a flat textured block that has French architecture.png slapped onto it. It's especially jarring when the things you can interact with look so much better. I mean, it makes sense to make these things more noticeable to draw you in, but all it does is make this more noticeable instead. But still, the graphics are fine, and are certainly better than they've been for the Pokemon games since its first foray into 3D, which was, funnily enough, also in Lumiose City. It was pretty flat in that game too, but granted, that was a 3DS game from 12 years ago. However, while I know countless people on the internet will continue to flame this game for its visuals, like the flat textures and animations, I do want to draw attention to something that looks incredible: Hotel Z. Okay, well, not the outside. The inside, however, is astoundingly better looking than the rest of the game. It makes sense as the curated home base, but this looks incredible. Each scene feels like a work of art, and both the lighting and shading, though completely static, makes everything have this enhanced level of quality to it. In a way, it makes me sad because it only further proves just how good games can look and how good this game can look, but it remains a singular standalone point of interest in what feels like the entire city and the entire game. Maybe I'll just take after my real life self and spend the majority of my time at home rather than out in the town. I do love how contained this game is though, like only taking place in this city, and I think the combat system used here is the best Pokemon combat has ever felt. I'm not sure if they'll keep it for the next mainline Gen 10 game, and I can't say that I won't be disappointed if they decide to revert back to traditional turn-based battles. If nothing else, just give us the choice between the two. Dragon Quest XI did it. I know there are fans that prefer the older combat, and that's completely fair, so why not just let us decide how we want to play the game? I know I'm barely scratching the surface of the complete Pokemon experience with Legends ZA so far, and I plan to keep working my way through it. I've already done a bit more than what I've talked about here, but I don't think we need an anecdotal retelling of the moment-to-moment situations any more than I've already droned on about. What I will say is, if you're not the biggest fan of Pokemon, or perhaps like me you enjoy the franchise but have never quite hit it off with the games, Legends ZA feels like a great way to get something fun and exciting out of the experience. For me, more so than Legends Arceus, but I am tempted to give that one another go after I'm done here now. But I'm surprised. I wanted to try out Pokemon Legends ZA despite having no real hope that it would be the game to change things for me. I just thought it would be a fun one to join in, dip in like everyone else, meet my good old friend Tepig again before ultimately drifting off pretty quickly like I usually do with these games. Here though, I am determined. I want to see what this city has to offer, to catch all the Pokemon I can, and to rise through the ranks. Could it purely be because of the real-time combat system? Could it be that I've changed? I don't know. But what I do know is that that is another clothing store. Cool.